Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's February 18th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And you can see that we had another kind of a wild day. We opened up higher, traded lower, and found the bottom and reversed and closed back up very close to where we closed yesterday. So we made another higher low still yet. We'll see what tomorrow does. But we're really struggling at this price level up here. I think you almost have to move this down now to maybe right across there. Maybe even, yeah, I would probably leave it like, maybe even like that, but I'd probably leave it right there. That's where you get the most touches using the close as well. So, okay, I had a little interruption there, but we were talking about uh, the range here, and it looks like we're starting to top out again. Will we push through here eventually? Maybe we've been making higher lows all the way up here. So there's a good chance we could push on through. So we'll see. Maybe we'll test these original highs. Um, there is the possibility we had a trend up here. I don't have it on here. When I changed my chart, I never put it back on here. But let me put it on here. We had this trend up. Oops. And you can see there. I believe that looks correct. Maybe a little steeper than that. But anyway, we had this trend here and we had the break. And so we could be pushing to make a new high on that. Or we could just stay in this range and turn down here soon. So, but there it is. This is today's bar. This is the one that opened at 5 o'clock or whatever. So this is today's bar right here, though. But anyway, I'm going to flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. We'll take a look at that. We'll work through the trades and we'll call it a day. Okay, here it is. There's no news today. There's Trump speaks at 8 o'clock or something, and then tomorrow, I think it's what is that tomorrow? FOMC. Ooh, tomorrow's FOMC meetings. So we want to be flat tomorrow by noon on that because something could come out of that. But anyway, no news today. Nothing that makes any difference. And we traded up in the overnight, turned down right before the open, had a big drop down. So we went into a spike and channel. You can see we got a break here and kind of went sideways before we finally pushed to a new low, and then we reversed. And we took most of it back again. So here's where we closed yesterday. Is that right? Yeah, I guess that's right. That doesn't seem right because that would mean that we closed higher today. Something doesn't seem right here. But anyway, I'm going to assume that's correct. This is where we opened, so we had to fill that little gap. We traded down, and we actually went a little lower. We had to make this new low on this spike and channel on the retest for this low. And we got that reversed, and that took up most of the day there, though. We spent a good bit in the middle of the day going sideways. But let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades, and I'll double check these open and close to make sure I've got them set. I had to redo all my settings. I talked about that last week, having to redo everything. So, but that's supposed to be the close. But it looks like to me the close should have been up here somewhere. So I'm not sure about that. I'm going to pause this and check it right now. Okay, it looks like they didn't show this data for yesterday. So that's why the close is right here from Friday. So this is not 100% accurate because we did trade some Monday till noon. And so the close should have been up here. So, but I'm not sure why it's showing from Friday, but it doesn't matter. The close should have been a little higher instead of down here. So this is just a trend lower. But you can see we bounced right off of that close from Friday. It's still I mean, we kind of played off that line both sides all the way across, so it still came into play and was important. But for whatever reason, yes, the close should have been up here on this high on this green bar, which that's 61.46, and so we did close up a little today. And the bar looks right on the daily chart, but for some reason, it's probably my BPX max because it's supposed to show at 4 o'clock closing, and since there wasn't a 4 o'clock closing, it showed the previous one. So that, yeah, that's probably what it is. If you look, because it shows the closing time right there at 4 o'clock, which is when the market usually closes. So since there wasn't a 4 o'clock, it must have reverted back to the following day. So that's why this is probably incorrect. That won't happen often, but occasionally it will. So we need to remember that and pay attention to it. But anyway, let's get to the chart. Here's the big picture. You know, it's a lot of choppy sideways, really. But we did have a spiking channel down, had a break. We went sideways again, finally made it to a new low, and then we reversed and pretty much trended up. And there's probably another trend here. You don't really need it. Yep, there's another trend here on the way up. Not that you need it because we were sideways into the closing there, or to the 2:30 hour. Then we don't take any trades after 2:30. So let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. 7 o'clock came right over in here on one of these bars. I think it came between these. I think it came on this bar somewhere. So right in here, but it runs up. And you might have, I mean, this is one of those where you might put a green one here. I didn't mark it. There's actually a small trend here. And we do get a break in a new high, but generally you want to wait on the lower high. I'll go ahead and mark this one, and we'll make it, we'll give that first one a green. But this is where I like entering on the, and this is also a double bottom, so that's a first entry. Technically, that's not a second entry, but it's at least a 1, 2, 3 triple test. So that's the reason I really liked it. It was a triple test after making a high, and there's a break there. And it just you're not really expecting it to do this, but it does. So that's all the more. You get a break and you lower. Then you go into this channel. So it's a big spiking channel down. Notice that you get a triple test here, 1, 2, 3. And so once again, I liked going short on that signal bar. There was a lower high here, but signal bar is no good. We chop low. Then we're kind of working sideways here. I don't see a short or long that I really like there. And then we break out here. Notice the channel up, close outside, new high, and you get a second entry short, and it confirms that trend line. You really already have this trend line confirmed between these two, but when they're that close together, it's better when you get a couple more like here, and then you get a second entry short right off the key entry point. Plus on the way up, you got the break and a new high. I mean, that's a perfect, that's the kind of trade you want to look for. And look at that move down. If you could just catch that one trade, and you exit on the first bullish bar that closes outside, so you'd exit right there. So you probably get 9 points minimum right there on a runner. Easy money. That's what you're looking for. And then it bounces down here, working up, close outside, move to a new high. That signal bar is not quite good enough. We weren't quite back to the trend line either. So I'd sit tight on that one. You don't want to go short way down here. You do get a first entry, second entry here, but this is an inside bar. It doesn't make a new high, so I'm not crazy about taking that one either. It's so close to the high that it's one that, you know, if you were going to fudge it a little bit and say, okay, that's a little aggressive, but I like it because it's a second entry and there's some resistance. It's off that close from Friday. And so there's reasons to see some resistance there. So you may take that as long as there's room down here to the lows, which there is. And notice how many times we bounce down here. And you actually get a first entry, second entry here after a break of this. This has moved over a little bit. After a break of that little channel, and a move to a new low, there's a second entry long, and you've tested that 1, 2, 3, 4 times now. I like going long there. It's not a perfect signal bar, but I still think it closes in the upper 1/3, and off to the races it goes. You're just looking for it to come back to the trend line and see what happens from there. And of course, you get a break, move to a new high, and I like going short there once again at the trend line. And as long as you got room back to that EMA, which you do, and this is moving sideways, so you notice there's also a double top up here. You can see that double top. It's not a triple test, but it's a double top, and this looks like a range basically that ends up moving a little higher. And so I like going short there on that break and new high, and it's a double top as well. I think I said that was a second entry. If I did, it's not. So I hope I didn't say that. And that's a relatively, 6 ticks. You can get in that on the 8 tick rule, relatively low risk. I like that trade. Then it makes a new high and breaks out here and works sideways. Notice you get a break, new high, and you get 2 legs up. If you'd had a good signal bar here, I'd have said go short, but you just don't get it. Come down here, you bounce, you get a closeout, you move up, you close outside, and a couple of legs to a new high and a lower high right there. I like going short just to ride it back to the EMA, and maybe you get lucky and we ride it all the way to the other side. Maybe you go back and make the new low. It runs to the other side, close outside, new low. And if you got a good signal bar here, you could have argued a triple test, but you can't go long on that doji. And it does run back up to the other side, close outside, a couple of legs up, and you get a fairly decent signal bar there. It's not perfect. I think it closes in the lower 1/3, so I think you can go short there. I gave it a green, but it's probably close enough. It's not a perfect setup, but you're playing the range rules there, and you're just playing turn down with a good signal bar off the resistance there. And this runs down, close outside, a couple legs to a new low. It tries to bounce and makes a lower high here and a second entry short, and there's plenty of room to those lows, so I like going short there, just expecting to test those lows again, and this thing just takes off. Again, that's a really nice trade. And I didn't put any kind of trend line down here because we were running for a retest. I usually don't put it on that, but it wouldn't have hurt if you drew it. You still get the break and a couple legs to a new low, and then you get a second entry long. It makes a double bottom. This one made a slightly lower low, I'm fairly sure. Before I tell you that, let me double check it. 61.18 1/4. 61, well, it makes a perfect double bottom, actually. I thought it actually made a 1 tick lower high, but it doesn't matter. I think you're okay to go long on that second entry, and it takes off. We've already made the new low, so a double bottom just gives it a little more strength. But the only problem is you didn't quite make a new low on this channel, but I think that's close enough because you're really the bigger pattern. You're good to go there. You almost like a double bottom on the bigger pattern because you're getting a higher low there off the second entry, way away from or far away from the EMA. And this one makes a good move. 2 legs back. That's a second entry long, but that's the first break of that channel. It does give the close outside and the new low all in one, but I'd wait on a higher low here. And it never comes. If you took that one, if you read it just like that and you took that one, I'd probably say, yeah, it's a little aggressive, but it's okay. Because technically, even though you do have a close outside and the new low, it's all in one bar, but you see that a lot on these micro channels. So, but you see they did try to come back and retest it, you just didn't get a setup. So that's the fear. That sometimes, if everybody's not 100% sure, they'll come back and try to retest it again. So anyway, it comes back, makes a higher low, and then we're just working sideways into the close. I don't see anything else here that I'd want to trade. from that point out. That's a possibility right there. I mean, this is a double bottom, so first entry, second entry, third entry. So that's a third entry, and you're going long off the bar next to it, but they all have equal highs. So it's a good signal bar, and you're still a little ways um, from the EMA. So just measure it and see how much room you have, and you easily got 1.5 there. So I think you could take that one if you really wanted to. I think you can make that green. And the rest of it, we're just working sideways here into 230. There's nothing else there that I would see. That I mean, there's a good signal bar here, and you might even argue there's a triple test, but you're still in that. This is like a little spike and channel down, and it really looks congested too. So I just think that's a good enough reason. I don't know if it worked. It probably didn't even work. But that would be what kept you out of it. Yes, it only got a point and then made a new low before it went higher. So that's a good example of why you respect those little micro trend channels. But again, that was congested too, on top of being in the down channel. So there's multiple reasons to leave that one alone. But there it is. Kind of a quiet day. I mean, we just came off a 3-day weekend, so people probably trickling back into work in the office and so forth. So maybe the volatility is going to slow down a little. I don't know. We'll see. So, but there's today. Again, there was no news to really of any effect today. But tomorrow is FOMC day. It appears it's just in minutes, but you need to respect that 1 o'clock time period with them as well. Because if something comes out in those minutes that can spook the market, they're going to be talking about the next rate raise. So I'd be flat by noon on that one, and we'll see what happens from there. So it could be a wild and crazy day, or it could be a bomb and nothing much happens at all. So we'll see. But I do think looking at that daily chart, let's go back and look at it one more time real quick. I do feel looking at this daily chart, I think we need another high higher than that one first. But I mean, this thing is just, it looks like we're in a range, and if these highs hold, I mean, we could go all the way to these highs before it's over, but we've been turning right around here. So there's a chance that we could turn down from here, but the fact that we're making higher highs and higher lows here, there's a higher high, or I'm sorry, there's a higher low, there's a higher low, there's a higher low, there's that one, then there's a higher one, then there's a slightly higher one, and then there's a much higher one. So those, when you start to see that, usually that's going to be clues that there's a good chance it's got some momentum and we might break out. So it doesn't necessarily, I mean, nothing's ever written stone, so it doesn't necessarily mean, yeah, we're going to break out. But that would lead me to believe that there's some momentum here, and the fact that where we're at on the envelope, we got a lot more room to go to get into the overbought. So we could easily go higher here. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a sore throat after coming back from my trip. My throat's a little scratchy, and this weather here is horrible. It was 70 degrees Saturday, and then it was 25 degrees last night, and then it's back up around 40 today, and then it's supposed to drop down into the 20s tonight, and snow and sleet and ice, and I mean, this weather is just crazy. So I think what bothers me more than anything is the change from 70 degrees one day to 20 the next, and I mean, it's just, it's crazy. You get 50-degree swings, and it's crazy you get 70-degree weather in January or February here. Just, this is our coldest months of the year, even though it doesn't always stay down cold. It usually is only in the 40s or 50s. That's a warm day in this time of year, 40s or 50s, and we got up in the 70s, and they were calling for 70 degrees, and I think we got 74 almost. So even warmer than you expect. That's crazy for February and where I live here. So anyway, my jaws are just flapping. I'm going to shut up and wrap this up. Hope you had a good, long, extended weekend. I know I did. I used that Monday. I didn't come in early. I did come into the office, and I got caught up on my email and kind of did some other things. So it helped me catch up having that day of not having to do my normal stuff and the chart lesson and all that. So it was good for me to have that extra day, and it helped me catch up. And so I'm pretty much, I mean, I still have a few things I need to do, but I'm where I need to be. It's tax time, so I got to work on my income taxes, and I got to get that together for my CPA. And I was gone when property taxes were due, so I'm a month late, and I got some interest on my property tax. I got to get that paid before the end of this month, so they don't charge me another month's interest. And so I'm still behind on a few personal things that I need to do. And so I got to get to work on all that. So it's going to be a hectic next couple of weeks for me. So continue to bear with me if I'm slow in answering emails and things, but I'll always do my best. And I'll always answer you. Even if it's a week later, I'm going to always answer you. So um, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.